We're here with Bobby Wilson, son of the legendary R&B soul singer Jackie Wilson, and I know you for quite some time. How you been?
I know you since you was a little boy.
Yeah.
Been good, man. You look like you all grown up and everything. It's like I can't believe the years have passed so quickly. Yeah. Everything's good, man. Working, working around the globe and just doing my thing, keeping the music going, keeping my dad's music going, keeping my music going now. Well, I'm pushing these days more of my music, but yeah, everything is good.
You were in the Navy, years ago, and music has always been something that you've always had a love for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you weren't doing music,
I originally wanted to do music, but was too afraid, full of fear, so I went into engineering. I was an electronic engineer for the Navy, so that was my fallback. I had a job at a company that I rescinded the offer. I had a company I won't name, but I had a great job offer to be a field tech for this company, and I wound up sending my rescind letter because I fell in love with performing on stage, and I kept saying to myself, I always have that to fall back on. But then I learned very quickly there's no plan B. There's only plan A. My mom, I'm gonna wrap this up with this. My mother had this thing. She grew up on a potato farm. She was a baby girl of 12 brothers, and they all worked together to make sure the family's business flourished. And she said one thing that she wanted me to remember, if I didn't remember anything, is when I got a goal, keep my head pointed at the goal. Don't look at my steps. She says when you plowing, if you look at your steps, you do like this. You go every way. But if you just look at the goalposts, then you'll get through straight lines. So that's where I'm at. I'm straight on my goal. I'm not watching the way I get there. I'm just getting there. Never knew that little story would mean so much. I'm like, why is she telling me that? I'm like 8 years old. Okay.
Jackie Wilson, who's your father? For you, finding out that he was your dad from Four Tops, and just
it was mind-boggling. It was hard to accept at first, and I actually kept it quiet a long time because I actually found out the first time I went to Atlantic City, and I actually went with Gary. Me, Gary, Tony Roy, all working in Atlantic City at the Legends Show. And one evening while I was there, Jim Escher, who was the entertainment director, came to me and said, hey, do you know the Four Tops? And I said, no, I don't know Four Tops. Why? He said, well, they want to meet you. They want to meet me. This was between shows. Right. We do a 3 o'clock show and a 7:30 show. He says, yeah, they're working this week. They're doing private corporate shows, and they're here. And I was like, ecstatic. And so he took me upstairs and get to the green room, and they're all sitting there. I guess they just done a show. And Lawrence Payton looked at me and said, you gotta be family. He says, how'd you learn? He says, how'd you learn how to do Jackie Wilson like that? And I laughed. I said, if I'm doing Jackie Wilson, that's kind of a compliment because I don't even know if I'm doing Jackie Wilson. There's no video, there's no YouTube at that time. So I said, I don't know. I said, I'm just doing me and selling me. I said, when Paul Revere hired me, I said, Paul, there's nothing on Jackie Wilson for me to look and see what he's like. And Paul tried to get some videos from Dick Clark because they were partners. They owned a couple of nightclubs and other businesses together. But Dick said no. He said no, he wouldn't give him the video. So he said, that Paul was like, hey, Papa, I tried to get some video, but Dick Clark wouldn't give it to me. So, so I said, okay. And so I said, well, and Paul said, just sell the song, sell yourself every night. So that's where my show came from, me selling myself. And surviving, because I was in the show when nobody really knew who Jackie Wilson was. Everybody knew Madonna, Elvis, Little Richard, Michael Jackson. But people didn't know who Jackie Wilson was, especially in Hawaii. And especially with the Asians coming in. We had 90% Asians in Hawaii, as you already know. And our showroom is 1,000-seater filled with Chinese and Japanese and people from Asia. So I had to sell it. And then after working there in Hawaii, Paul sent me to Atlantic City, and that's where, like I said, after I met the Four Tops, everybody came out of the woodwork. And so it's been a crazy ride ever since. But now I'm more into my music and pushing my music out. I'm still pushing my dad's music. I can't help it. But at the same time, I'm pushing Bobby. So my dream is still alive. I'm very happy for my friend and buddy Bruno Mars, who I watched grow from a kid to a superstar. But hopefully one of these days I'll be in his company. That's what I'm shooting for. So I die.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been performing for quite some time. UK, Europe, all over the world. Any memorable experiences for you?
A lot of. I'm doing a lot of shows now with some 50s and 60s acts, like Charlie Thomas and the Drifters, Sonny Turner and the Platters, all these original artists, and Joey for Starlighters, Peppermint Twist, my Uncle Joey, Tony Orlando, he's now Uncle Tony.
Right.
All these guys now I'm working with on a regular basis, they are now my peers, and it's an interesting world because I get to hear all their stories, how they started. Tony Orlando was working in a mailroom in a record company, and they called him and said, "Hey, come sing this song, demo the song for me." I think Jay Siegel from the Tokens produced it. And said, "Come on down and sing this song. Just want you to sing this song so I can promote it to other singers." Little did he know that they put it out. He's in the mailroom, hear his song on the radio. And they said, that's Tony Orlando. He goes, no, that's Tony Orlando. His act came from him being just singing demos. And he was a writer himself, So I'm getting to hear all these stories firsthand. And working with these guys, and it's very inspiring. A few weeks ago, I was with Marshall Thompson and the Showlights. We was doing a show in New York, and Marshall told me some amazing stories of my dad and him, and how they got started. Marshall Thompson was a drummer for another band, and he was doing a session in Chicago with Brunswick. Brunswick Records had a subsidiary in Chicago, and they were based out of New York. But anyway, he was playing drums, and he told my dad, he said, "Hey, I have my own band, My dad said, "Well, who is it?" He said, "We're the Showlights." He said, "Well, let me see it." And then my dad called Nat Tarnabo, and they performed in front of Nat. Nat signed them. Now we know the Showlights. So I get to hear all these backstories that I know I never would ever hear, unless I read it somewhere. This is really cool, man. I met some really great people. So I think it's the people more than the places for me. The best place I ever been was when I was in the Navy. I went to a place called Ibiza, Spain, or pronounced Ibiza. That was a wild place. While you're still a young man, you need to go do 7 days over there while you're not married. You need to go there. I went in the Navy. We had a great captain who liked to party. And so we'd do our exercises, Navy exercises. And then he says, "Okay, guys, I'm going to take you on a trip, let you guys relax for 2 weeks." He took us to Ibiza. I needed a vacation from Ibiza. It was such a great time. So that's the most memorable place. As far as shows, I played in a lot of beautiful rooms. In Philadelphia, they have this big, beautiful room called the Kimmel Center, 6,500 people. Beautiful red decor. But we come from the back of the stage to the front. So I'm looking at the back, I'm coming in the back door where, where the trash is dumped and everything. And then I walked to the stage, and it's like amazing. That's probably been my most memorable with the host, the Geeter, Jerry Blaggett. Being at the Kimmel Center is just amazing because you hear this incredible roar. 6,500 people just roaring. It's a high that you can't get rid of. I can't imagine. Yes, I can. 35,000 people. Right. I can imagine it because I heard 6,500. So it's a high. It's addictive. I can see why people never want to, leave the business once they get in. I see why they scratch to get back to, the people with the hits, and that they go up and then they come down. and they scratch to get back up there because it's a high to walk out on the stage. People know the songs, they sing along with you. No matter what you do, they're into it. It's great. It's great. It's addictive. You know what's the most addicting was when I do my songs that I recorded with Plateau Music, and the people are singing along and they know word for word. That's weird. Mm-hmm. Because I remember the days I'm in the studios doing the takes, trying to get the song right. So every time I sing the song, I go back to the studio. But now when I sing the song, I listen to the people singing it back to me. And one lady yelled out, "Sing it again!" You know, and it's amazing to me. It's mind-boggling. I'm not used to it. I'm gonna get used to it, but I'm not. So I'm in a new phase of my life where now I'm going to really dive into my own music, publish and put out my own music along with other writers, and it's exciting. So see what happens.
As far as music goes,
Mm-hmm.
Your dad has always been around, your life. And, what can you say about your dad, and what can you say about the success that he's had?
He made a mark. Jackie Wilson is only one. Jackie Wilson. He's one of a kind. There's nobody that's come along that's replaced him, or even come close to him. Michael Jackson is great. Bruno Mars is great, but Jackie Wilson is great. And the music that he left us to enjoy is amazing. When you listen to him sing his opera tunes like Night and My Empty Arms, and then he jumped into a pop song like Squeezer Teaser, To Be Loved, Baby Workout, Your Love Is Lifting Me Higher, to his Northern Soul style, Sweet Vibrations, the Hoo Hoo song. I mean, his music is so colorful on every level. The man can sing the phone book and sound great. When I go on stage and people say to me before, "Can you sing like Jackie Wilson?" I was like, "No, I sing like me." I said, "Jackie Wilson sung like Jackie. I sing like me." So if you hear and see Jackie in me, God bless you. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I said, "But you're going to see me." And that's what I go out and do. But no, my father's around me. I can feel him around me, especially during performances. Even my girlfriend says, fiance, she say, it's like you go into a trance when you perform. You're a different person. And it is, it's different. Because I all the way up to the Showtime, I'm like this. But once I'm on stage, it's a different ball game altogether. And my whole thing is to serve the people, to make the people happy, to take them down memory lane. It's really not about me being a star or being a great singer. It's about watching the joy that it comes from what we do. The joy my dad gave was amazing. Women threw themselves at him in the 60s and the 70s. I mean, they threw themselves at him. And what man couldn't resist that? You tell me, show me one man could resist 1,000 women coming at him at once. There's no man out there can resist it. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, your dad had a lot of women," I was like, could you be in my dad's shoes and live his life? He had to deal with the cars the way they came. The same way I dealt with the cars the way they came for me. It's not Elvis Presley, my dad's best friend. And them guys, they left a mark. And it ain't gonna be repeated. There's nobody gonna ever come and replace Elvis. I mean, look at the kids that's growing up and getting into Elvis music. I saw a little 6-year-old, 7-year-old dancing to Jailhouse Rock. I was like, that's amazing to me. I think the standards of the 50s, 60s, and 70s never is leaving. You even see it here in Bruno's music. He goes back and brings it back. So it's kind of cool. So that's my intentions, is to keep putting out good music. Dionne Warwick, I like to call my aunt, told me once. She asked me once, she said, "What kind of music you want to put out?" And I looked at her and I said, "I want to put out what you put out. Music that lasts forever." And at the same time I said that, because we were riding my truck right here in Las Vegas, her song came on the radio. "Do you know the way to San Jose?" And we both went, at the same time. Because she said, "Bobby, what kind of music you want to do?" And this is before I even started recording, before I was even thinking about recording. I was still doing the Legend in Concert gig. And she said, what kind of music do you want to record? I said, "The same kind you can do, Dionne." I said, "I want put out music that lasts forever. And sure enough, do you know the way to San Jose? And I looked at her and she looked at me and we laughed. Because it was just amazing. It just came on the radio at that instant. So I've been lucky. I got some great people around me now. And hope to be blowing up with some music that the world accepts. I met the drummer from Bill Haley's Comets, and they were playing in Branson, and I went to see him, and the drummer was 83 years old at the time. Man, he was killing those drums like he was 20. And I looked at, I watched, I was like amazed, and his other two partners were jumping up, kicking their feet, 79 and 81, jumping up, kicking their feet on the stage. So I said to him when he came out, I said, do you ever play the guitar? He goes, no, I rock till I drop. 83-year-old man looking at me, I rock till I drop, and holding the sticks. So I think that's the mantra for all entertainers that love doing what they're doing. You got those that do it for the music or do it for the money, but the people that love it, you're not gonna stop them. Duke from the Four Tops, I see him time to time. He's my dad's cousin. He says, Bobby, I think I'm going to retire soon. I look at him, I said, Duke, you're not going to retire. You're going to rock till you drop. And then he looked at me and goes, yeah, you're right. And he's still going. And I think he just hit 80 himself. Yeah, so it's nice. To meet the people, the writers, the publishers, the different people in this business, the other side of the business. When I was doing the impersonation and tribute side, there's a whole group of people there that I was working with, associated with, but now I'm on this other side where I'm working with the publishers and writers and how they create a star, how they create an act. Some is accident, some is intentional, but I've learned the stories, and I kind of weaved into mine, with my story. So my story is not finished. My story is continuing, to be continued. Hopefully I'll be sending you my next single. Right. And so I want you to do a review on it. I want you to tell them what you think, and I want you to be honest. No, the best review I got was from a lady named Mary Davis out of the UK. My record company sent her a CD to review, and she's a great critic in the UK over soul music. Right. And she said she got my CD and she took it, she just put it on the desk, and she didn't listen to it for a month or 2 months. And then she had to go do a special event, and she saw the CD laying on the desk. And she said when she looked at it, she goes, I don't want to hear no guy trying to impersonate Jackie Wilson. That's the first thing she thought. And then she said, well, I got to go do this event. So she put the CD on, thinking that she was only going to listen to one, maybe 2 songs, and then toss it. And she said after she got to the 3rd song, she was a Bobby Wilson fan. She said, not only she says, okay, let's get this straight. He sounds like his dad, but he has his own sound. He has his own soul, he has his own mix. And she says, I am a Bobby Brooks Wilson fan. I'm looking for good things to come from this guy. And that was the best one. You can look it up. And I think I got it on my website as well. But look up Mary Davis out of the UK. So that was probably, I walked on water when I got that review. It was a great review.
Showtime at the Apollo with Steve Harvey must have been fun, right?
It was scary because they edited the crap out of that. He brought me out and did about 20 minutes of jokes on me. Oh, no. I walked out in my blue suit, and when they called me, Maxine was the production manager at the time. She called me. I don't know how she got my number, but she called me and said, can you come up and do a couple of Jackie Wilson songs? And I said, well, I'd like to do my original song. She goes, nobody know you. We want to hear Jackie. And I went, okay. So I went up there with Gary and a couple other people, and we stayed there all day. And Mitch Tannis. We stayed there all day. I mean, we went at 6 in the morning, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning the next day before I actually went on. And because they do 3 or 4 tapings in one day. So I had no idea, and I felt bad with the guys coming up to see me. I felt so bad that they came and had to wait all that time. But what's funny was they got scared for me because when I came out, Steve Harvey immediately started doing jokes. And he started jonesing my suit and my hair and whole 9 yards. So I'm standing there waiting while this man just had the whole room laughing. And he says, so he finally said, so you're gonna do a tribute to Jackie Wilson, huh? I said, yes, I'm gonna do a tribute to Jackie Wilson. And then he said, they're gonna eat you alive if you're no good. He said, you know they're gonna eat you alive if you're no good, right? You're doing Jackie Wilson. See, all that was cut out. You're doing Jackie Wilson. You know what they're gonna do to you? He said, people, he started talking to them, you know. This man is about to do the most iconic black soul artist of this world. And if he mess it up, you guys gonna let him know, right? Yeah. I was like, why are you doing that to me?
So at the time, he probably didn't even know that your father was Jackie Wilson.
No, I didn't know either at that time either when I did it.
Wow.
So that's when it, like I said, that stuff started coming out of the woodwork because my brothers and them saw me. My dad's ex-wife saw me on that show, and they reached out quickly, within weeks. But it was funny. We did it, you know, and then I finally did it, and then Harvey stopped the show after I did. He said, folks, if you never seen Jackie Wilson, if you never heard him, if you don't know nothing about him, because I know y'all young, look him up. That was Jackie Wilson. What he did was Jackie. Wow. And that was like the biggest compliment I could have ever gotten, because I was basically at the beginning of my career. But I was 3 or 4 years into it by then. Because I started in '95. Yeah, 5 years into it, because we did it, I think, in 2000. And he said that was Jackie Wilson. He told him. And that was, and Steve Harvey always remember me. When he does different shows, he looks out and reaches out for me to come and do my thing. So he's kind of a good guy. He's a good cat.
I wonder if he finally found out about it, probably.
Yeah, he probably did. There's a lot of people that watches me online and that I never met. Like the first time I met Smokey Robinson, I said, hi Smokey, he says, I know who you are. Before I can say who I was, he said it. And I said, oh, Ron Isley. I just met Ron Isley last year. Me and my girl, I said, let's go see the Isley Brothers. They were playing here in Vegas. And when we got there, somebody stopped me and said, hey man, can I see your tickets? And I thought he was a bum. I was like, what do you mean to see my ticket? Well, it turns out he was I hope you don't see this. He's the entertainment director for the theater I was at. He said, let me see your tickets. And I said, and he took my tickets, gave me his. He says, Ron wants you to sit on the front row. I said, Ron knows I'm here? He goes, yeah, he knows you're here. So we sit in the front row, and then he sees me. He says, Bobby, come backstage after the show. Right on the stage. Wow. And then I come up to him, and he says, I've been watching you for 5 years. He says, you are amazing. You're just like your dad. So I got a lot of confirmations from different artists in the business. I mean, if I was doubting, I get them from the artists. They work with him. First thing he says, I can't tell you how many shows I've done with your father. He said, first time I saw you online, I just lost my mind. Yeah. He said, you're so much like him. And he says, I can tell you don't know it. You're just doing you, right? I said, yeah. He says, I can tell. He said, I can tell you doing you. I said, but he says, but you're doing your dad. And then I took a picture with him and his wife, and it was just, those times were just amazing times for me. So more and more, as I do more business, I meet more and more. I met the Commodores and wound up taking a picture with them and having a photo session with them. It was kind of fun. So some good things are coming, so keep up. Keep up. Yeah. Keep up, Justin.
Toured over the world. You've been a part of Showtime at the Apollo. Mm-hmm. Presently, you're still writing albums.
My last album had 4 #1 hits. Yeah. 4 top 10 hits. Mm-hmm. And then I was on the Grammy ballot 4 times, 4 years in a row. So now I'm looking to go to the next step. And we're in the process of it. I'm listening to songs, I'm writing songs, I'm collaborating with other writers, other producers. And just keep it coming. But don't look for no new stuff. Let me change that. Don't look for me to do what they're doing today. I'm doing what fits me. and what I'm sure that they will love. So it's going to be cool.
As far as your future goes?
Recording, might be some acting, I can't say. Writing, continued writing. I'm writing on different levels now besides music, so look for that. There's a lot of different things coming out, things I don't want to mention right now, but a lot of things that are coming out. Better they come out and it's done than me saying that, saying what's going to happen. I'd rather you see it as it progresses. And of course, we're going to always be in touch, so no worries.
Speaking of acting, and I'm not going to probably go into any of this, but I've always wondered if there was ever going to do an autobiography.
It's in the works. It's in the works.
Okay.
That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Yeah, and not just one person either, to be honest. A lot of people got my dad on their mind. A lot of people. So my thing is who does it first, but it's definitely in the works.
Well, you definitely got a piano.
I'm not saying all that, but I'm just saying it's in the works. It's definitely in the works. In the meantime, though, you can check out the hologram that we did on my father down in L.A. On Hollywood Boulevard at the Film On Studio. It's a hologram show that they did on my dad. So you can check that out. They also did Billie Holiday and several others. But you can check that out. That's been running for 2 years now, maybe 3. So if you ever go visiting down in Hollywood, you should check it out. Right down in the middle of the strip, a theater. And let me know what you think of it when you see it.
As far as your inspirations in music?
Well, it comes to me. I met Billy Roquel Davis, or Roquel Billy Davis. He used to be an original member of the Ames, which was the Four Tops, which is my dad's first cousin. When Billy met me back in '97 at Atlantic City, he started mentoring me. And he showed me the importance of digging inside myself and putting it on paper. That has been an outlet for me because my life was, kind of interesting coming up. I grew up in a foster home. There was some abuse as I was growing up, and then I went into the military and then became a musician. And so I've taken all the changes that I've gone through in this life, divorces, marriages, children, and I burned it out and put it in paper. So it's been an outlet for me. It allows me to express myself, to share myself, and the music that comes to me in the middle of the night, I know those are gifts from the Almighty. So I want to share that because He's saying, okay, you're listening here, put this out. You're listening, put that out. It is very strong, and I go by he who hears, hear, he who sees, see. God will talk to you if you're open for Him to talk to you. If you're not, you got free will. Keep living your life. But I ask for wisdom, protection, direction. And that's how it gets me where I'm going. I used to depend on man a lot when I was much younger. I used to call up everybody, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Stop doing that. I pray and I ask for wisdom just like David did. I ask for wisdom just like King Solomon did. And I ask for direction and for Him to keep His hands on me. And protection. Protection, because you never know who's after you. You never know who wants to hurt you. You never know who wants to see you down. The same person that pats you on the back is the same person that's stabbing you in the back. You just don't know.
Right.
So protection, the full armor of God. I ask for that every single day in my own privacy. I ask for the full armor of protection, the full armor of God, and that His word is in me so that if adversary come at me, I got something to protect myself. And in the world that I'm in, there's a lot of them. You got to deal with it. Right. Because this world that we're in, music, entrepreneur business, period, will eat you alive. And you got to have a strong backbone. I thank God for my mother who raised me, Annie Bell Davis. She raised over 400 children. She put a lot of good stuff in me. Since her, I've learned from a lot of others, like Deepak Chopra and like Jesus Christ, you know, I've learned for others after I became a man, because I needed that to keep me, my foundation, to keep me strong and keep me going. I make mistakes, just like every other human being make mistakes, but I learned to face them and keep moving. I don't drag them, I don't tote them behind me, I don't carry a load. I do just what they say, leave it to Jesus and keep moving. That's what I do. Once I say, okay, God, I did this, I'm sorry, blah, 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 I don't pick it up and take it with me. I leave it right there. And I keep moving because he got work for me. And I want to do the work.
So for you, you know, what was the realization that you were going to do something in the music industry?
It wasn't until I got out of the Navy in Pearl Harbor. Well, actually, I was stationed in Navamac, Lake. And just like Gary Moore, we kind of got hired on the same day with legends, you know. And I was hanging out with some local guys, and Peter Hernandez walked into the karaoke bar. Check this out. I didn't know these guys were stars. I just thought they were Hawaiians that could sing. And I was hanging out with Brother Iz, and which I didn't know he was a star, and the Casimir brothers, Robert, I remember him, and just a whole lot of different singers. And Peter Hernandez walked in, and he heard me. And he said, hey man, you got a good voice. You know, you should come join our group, the Love Notes. And I was like, the Love Notes, what's that? The doo-wop group downtown. Then he said, perhaps you heard of my son Bruno, the world's youngest Elvis impersonator. I said, no, never heard of him. So he said, well, come on down. So I went down and saw the show at the Waikiki Sheraton. I was blown away. First of all, I was blown away because I didn't think that I could do what they were doing. At the time, I just got out of the Navy, so I was like at 230, 240. You know, and the rest of those guys were, Johnny Valentine and all those guys were very slim, good looking with these huge pompadours. So I said, man, I don't know if I can do that, you know. And Peter said, follow my lead, you'll be fine. So I auditioned, they hired me, and that was the beginning. And I think I've always loved music, because I remember when the Jackson's 5 came out. Now I'm dating myself. When the Jackson 5 came out, I was playing out in the yard. See, the kids don't do that these days. I was outside playing, and my sister yelled, Bobby! And I ran into the house. You gotta see these kids! And I ran in the house, and that's the Jackson 5 doing ABC. And I was like mesmerized. I mean, completely mesmerized when I saw the Jackson 5. And, you know, the song became very popular, and I had the same voice at that age that Michael had. Michael's about probably 5 years older than me, or maybe 10, maybe 20. Anyway. But I had the same voice so when I was a kid, but then when I got older, my voice changed too. So I used to sing and stuff all the time, never thinking that I wanted to do that for a living. I didn't realize it until one night I was on stage with Peter and the Love Notes, and I was like, I love this. I don't never want to stop doing this. And that was the beginning for me, the humble beginnings. From there, things accelerated. Paul Revere saw me and asked me to join Legends and do Jackie Wilson, because I look and sound like him, which I didn't think I did, to be honest. But I wanted to be in that show. So I said, shoot, whatever it takes. And Paul told me, I said, Paul, I don't know what to do to make myself look or sound like Jackie Wilson. Paul says, I don't want you to do nothing but dream about it before you go to sleep. I said, what? He says, I want you to visualize yourself on the stage with the singers and the dancers doing the show. That's all I want you to do. And then in 6 months, I want to audition. But I'm not knowing that he was teaching me a great lesson. And once I started visualizing, it came together. In less than 3 months, I did the audition. I was hired on the spot. And I remember they hired me, Johnny Fortuno, and Gary Moore the same day. And they threw us on the streets and had us doing promos. But it was a great experience. And from there, my family came out of the woodwork. And it's been a dream ever since, to be honest. We've been challenges, up and down challenges, and you know, dealing with the family and dealing with who I am and what I do, and then finding myself and finally coming to the conclusion I really want to be an artist, not just a tribute artist, but an artist. And once I got the artist in my head, and I've been on that road, getting my music out. I was with Plateau Music for 7 years in the record label out of Nashville. I was with Tony Manter. He was my manager at the time. And now I moved on to other things. I got some music coming out in the UK that hopefully will be coming out in the next 6 months. And I got some new projects on the horizon that I don't want to talk about yet, but I want you to follow me. You'll see we got some good stuff coming, some really good stuff. So yeah, just keep watching. Keep watching.